Welcome back. They had a deadly disease, but they didn't let that stop them from living out a dream.
A Miami Valley couple got married, and it was happily ever after, at least for a short time. Fox 45's Mary Costello joins us live with more. Mary?
Don and Kathy, cystic fibrosis is a disease that attacks the lungs, and it's fatal, killing most of its victims before they ever become adults. But even though time ran out on one Miami Valley couple, they shared the kind of love that lasts a lifetime. Doug Langstaff met Misty Rose 2 years ago. They were both cystic fibrosis patients at Children's Hospital.
And she goes into her room and she got me a bag of pretzels, and that's how we first met.
They were soon dating, and they did their best to live like normal teens, even if fond memories took place in the hospital.
So we talked on the cell phone and watched the sunrise together in the hospital. Even though we were in separate rooms, that's what we did together.
Doug says he and Misty would each go to the hospital about 5 times a year for 2 to 3 weeks each time. And when it's cystic fibrosis, you never know if you're taking a turn for the worse. Last April, Doug and Misty knew. At only 18, the disease had progressed too far in Misty. She only had the use of 10% of her lungs when they married on April 14th.
And even though we only got a month and a day, that was still, we lived it as if it was 50 years.
And in that month before Misty died, Doug took care of his new wife, who was hooked up to an IV most days and coughed so much she couldn't sleep.
My last memory, I said, "I love you," and she said, "I love you back." And she gave me a kiss on her own through her oxygen mask.
Doug doesn't know how much longer he has to live, but he says he feels he still has a purpose to show how important our lives are.
That life isn't to be taken for granted. And in the last moments, even though I always told Misty I loved her, there was never a moment that I felt like that wasn't good enough.
Doug used all of his wedding money to pay for Misty's funeral. Because of his disease, he can no longer go to school and can't work either. But when we interviewed him today, he said, quote, "My life is perfect." He was building picture frames and decorating his apartment the way Misty would have wanted it. Live in the studio, Mary Costello, Dayton's News Source.
Doug Langstaff has much more to say about his life and disease. He'll join us for a live interview tomorrow morning on Fox 45 at 7:15.
We're honored to be joined by Doug Langstaff this morning with the incredible story of love and loss. First of all, good morning to you, Doug.
Good morning.
And first of all, I mean, just an amazing story, a sad story in every way. But talk a little bit about Misty, things that maybe people wouldn't know. I mean, how you guys met and how you knew that she was the one for you.
Well, like I said, we met over a bag of pretzels in the hospital, and we've been going to Dayton Children's ever since we were born. And we never met until August of '05. And she was an amazing person. She never let anything get to her or anything. And it was just an amazing experience to be with her, and she never let her disease get to her either, or the passing of her mother or passing of her sister.
Now, you're 21 and she was 18, but
Yes.
you guys aged so much just because of the experiences you had to go through. You went to the hospital at least 4 or 5 times a year. Talk about just, I mean, coming together in a sense like that, something that most people don't have to do.
Yeah, a lot of our memories was shared in the hospital, and we knew each other just under 2 years, and I'd say at least 10 to a year we were together in the hospital. Our memories, our lives was in the hospital together, hooked up to machines, walking the halls with IV poles.
And your wedding day, I understand that when you got married, she wanted to go horseback riding in Kentucky. Explain that, but also get into the museum. I know she always wanted to go to that museum, and she did go to that museum, but she wasn't able to go there on her own.
Yes, we did go horseback riding. She went when she was younger, like on pony ride, but we got to go horseback riding in Kentucky, and she loved it. She's like, "Hey, let's do it again." I was like, "Well, why don't we see how tomorrow holds up, because since you've never done it, an hour worth of horseback riding, you're gonna feel it." And she did the next morning. She really felt it. And the museums, we went to a few museums in Tennessee, and I would actually pick her up and carry her up the stairs or walk her to the museums because it was just too much for her.
It's obviously sad, but you've had a chance to kind of reflect on that, and I mean, you wouldn't do anything different, I imagine.
No, timing or anything. I loved her, and we spent every minute together, and like I told you last night, that it was as if we were married for 50 years, because we made sure that we lived every moment like it was our last.
Your shirt kind of says it all about how you feel about the disease of cystic fibrosis, and you were saying that there was kind of a cute story that went along with that also went with Misty.
Yes. The day I took her into the hospital on May 8th, I knew it'd be her last, and I dressed her in her CF suck shirt, and then she passed away in my CF suck shirt, which is the one I have on right now.
And now, your duty now, I mean, you're kind of spreading the word about, you know, just taking advantage of every chance you have to live.
Yes, I mean, everybody doesn't know exactly how long they have, and God only knows how long we have. And it's very important to know that time is short. And with us, with cystic fibrosis, we don't know how long we have here on this earth. It's a lot shorter than others, but I'm just trying to get it out.
Well, we apologize for your loss. Sounds like you guys were really in love, and I'm sure that love will only grow more and more as you reflect on your time together. We wish you the best with cystic fibrosis, and just thank you very much for coming in.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
No problem, Doug. Our time right now is 7:22. For more on cystic fibrosis or how you can help those affected by the disease, log on to Dayton'sNewsSource.com, click on News, then News Links. We will be right back.